Welcome to today's episode. My name is Francois du Toit, and it's my privilege to spend the next 45 minutes or so with you. And my guest today is Michelle Hoskin from Standards International in the UK. And today, Michelle and we're going to talk about financial abuse and some really interesting things that came out in this conversation. This promises to be exceptionally mind-blowing for you and really make us aware about financial abuse. And not just that, we really want to talk about, what financial abuse is. We talk about whether it is really a problem. I also ask her the question whether experienced financial advisors have the skills to actually deal effectively and efficiently with financial abuse situations. So whether it is working with somebody who is using finances, or somebody who's being abused through finances. And as you'll hear, there is also often the case, and possibly in the majority of cases, where we financially abuse ourselves, something that we rarely think about, if ever. So I then get into it with her to talk about what the Financial Abuse Specialist certification is, why they created it, also, what is covered, how does it work, what does it enable you to do, and be sure to listen to the end where we talk about whether this could become a career path or a new full-on profession, and, what does it cost, where do you enroll if you're interested in this, and where you can find more information. Alrighty, so let's get into it. Thank you very much for joining us today. Michelle and I will see you on the other side of this.
This is PROpulsion, the financial professional's catalyst to exponential growth. Are you a driven and ambitious financial professional, but you are finding it hard to break through to the next level? Or are you struggling to build and run your practice successfully? Join Francois du Toit, a leading consultant and trainer, as he interviews not only the experts, but also people you have never heard of before, but who have done amazing things, about how they run their practices, the challenges they face, how they overcome those challenges, their failures, which tech has improved their business, how their revenue models work, and other practical aspects. We go deep so you can learn as much as possible. And here is your host, Francois du Toit.
Wow, I'm so excited to have Michelle Hoskin back for the podcast this time. Previously, I spoke to her on my live show, Virtual Coffee with Francois. We had some very interesting conversations over there. But today on PROpulsion, I really want to talk to her about a brand new certification that they've recently launched called the Financial Abuse Specialist. And I'm really interested to get into this and really understand how much of an issue financial abuse is. So without any further ado, Michelle Hoskin, semi-welcome back to well, at least me, but this time to the podcast on PROpulsion. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I'm very excited to talk about it.
Good stuff. I must say you look amazing and you look ready for this. So really excited to get into this conversation. This is something a little bit different. Usually we talk about a number of things, whether it's on the podcast or the live show, it doesn't really matter. But in this case, this is something that is for me of a more serious nature, and also something that is a lot more niche and a lot more specific. And it's not something that I actually, although we see these things around us, in the normal course of our lives and our normal days and going around and speaking to people, but I don't know if we really sit down and sort of look at it and say, well, you know what, is financial abuse a real thing? Is it really an issue? Mm-hmm. Is it something that is that's a lot more common than what we think? So that's why I'm so excited to get into this with you and to see that, now I can upskill myself in order to be able to help people who are actually having to deal with all of this stuff. So very excited to chat to you. And maybe just quickly for those listeners who haven't seen you on my show, or maybe they haven't heard about Little Miss Wow, just quickly, Michelle, just what are you all about? What it is that you do?
Well, for the last 20 years, I've been keeping myself out of trouble by helping financial planners and those that run financial planning and advisory practices just do things a little bit better, like smarter, more efficient, more effective. I've been around the profession a huge amount of time, and I've seen all the things that work and all the things that don't work. So predominantly a coach and a consultant for financial planners, and I've got a business that's we're nearly up to 10 people in total, based out of the UK, where today is nice and sunny, which is lovely. And just we're a group of very passionate, very keen individuals that just want planning practices to just become a better version of themselves and, planners to have that freedom to, one, spend more time in front of their clients and less time worrying about everything else. So, yeah, I run a business called Standards International.
Yeah, amazing stuff. And we'll share some links down in the show notes below where you can get hold of Michelle and her business. And also, obviously, a lot more links in that will speak directly to what we're going to be talking about today. Yeah. So I'm not going to keep you that long. So seeing that it's beautiful weather there, I must say it's also very beautiful weather here in Johannesburg today. So I'm really, I just came in from outside. So I wish I could have done this,
We need to do one outside.
Yeah, like
on the road.
Yeah, so we've got this virtual remote thing done, but maybe we must now do a remote virtual offsite, that kind of thing. Michelle, so I want to start off by asking you about, financial abuse. What is financial abuse? And the reason why I want to ask you this is on the weekend, actually, I was speaking to somebody and I was talking about, financial abuse, and they were like, what's that? Is that even a thing?
Yeah.
And I had to sort of explain in my own words what that means, but I would love to hear from you, what is financial abuse when we mention those two words? What is it exactly?
Okay, well, first of all, let's kind of take a few get rid of a few myths. So, financial abuse is effectively and simply where somebody uses money or finances to control another individual. So that could be a husband and a wife relationship, that could be a parent-child relationship, that could be a grandparent, that could be just a carer. So I think one of the things that's really important is financial abuse a real thing? Yes, absolutely, it's a real thing. And where you would think, with regards to other types of abuse, like physical and sexual abuse, or that's almost like a bad thing. Like that's like a thing that, none of my friends experience that. Well, the difference with financial abuse is that it can actually be done to you. You could do it to somebody else, but also you could be doing it to yourself, right? So through the work that we've done, we've actually established that there is a certain level of financial abuse that is actually done to yourself. It's like self-sabotage. It happens in all walks of life, all class, in all race. It's not gender specific. It is really, really a form of abuse that has no bias at all, absolutely none. And we can talk a little bit more about it, but yeah, it's a real thing actually.
So I mean, that's quite an interesting point to make, is so that we often do it to ourselves. So is there any form of indication, like if you said like it could be me doing it to someone doing it to me, or in this case, I'm doing it to myself. Is there any sort of indication? I don't know if this is a fair question, but which of those are a bigger problem? Somebody doing it to someone else or you doing it to yourself?
Well, in my opinion, it being done to yourself is a massive problem, because that's absolute self-sabotage and is totally unnecessary and actually is self-inflicted. So that's the easiest thing effectively to fix, because there's no other third party involved. Right now, so I'll give you an example. So I have a girlfriend who I've known from school a really long time, and her self-confidence is low, not for any one particular reason. Like, it's not like, she's in a bad relationship or her upbringing's been, a bit dodgy. Like, she's just low in confidence. She's always been like it from school. And I got chatting to her about, I was going to go shopping, when lockdown, when we were allowed out. And she's like, oh my God, no, like, I wait for the sales. And I said, what do you mean you wait for the sales? She's like, well, gosh, I would never buy anything, full price. And I was like, what do you mean you would never buy anything full price? Like, what does that even mean? Well, I could almost sense that what she was basically saying to herself was, I'm not worthy of buying or treating myself to anything that's not on a sale rail. Now, she has the money. So there's two things going on there. One, she's deeming herself not worthy of lovely new, the full choice of the new season stuff. And also, she's almost got such a terrible relationship with money that she's using it to almost say, I don't have enough and I'm not worthy. And it's all this combination of her crazy psychological stuff that she's doing to herself. And it's all attached to money. She's self-sabotaging, and she's using money to do it, to keep her confidence low and to not let her go out in a brand new top where she feels $1 million. Like, it's insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's interesting to say, well, where does that come from? And it'll be different for different people, I guess. And as you say, maybe she
Yeah,
doesn't feel worthy. She feels that she doesn't deserve it.
yeah,
Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a question of just a mindset of lack to say, well, I can't afford to spend this money because what if I need
yeah,
it in future? So it can also be maybe a little bit of that. So it's so difficult, but you're right. I think that is definitely the easiest thing to fix. If you start looking
yeah.
at, if you're doing it yourself, is just to understand, but why do you feel this and why do you think this way, and what is really the situation there? But this opened a whole new world for me. And I think I heard you say
Yeah.
on a video that you posted somewhere, either on Instagram or LinkedIn, I can't remember exactly, but you were actually referring to this now that you mentioned it. And at that point already, I was thinking to myself, like, this is very, very interesting.
Hmm.
And I don't know, I wonder, is it more common for people who are perhaps, like, doesn't matter whether they're married, in a relationship or not, whether they do those kind of things, or do they do it regardless of, whether they are in relationships or they are, on their own, or they have maybe there's a lot of people depending on them and they feel like they need to use that money, because that's also what I see is that they will spend money on other people and looking after
Absolutely.
other people, but they
Yeah.
won't be really looking after themselves. Is that
Yeah.
part of...
The reality, it's all of the above. It literally has no bias. One of the thing with it just has no bias. It doesn't pick over any one thing or another, whether you self-sabotage or somebody is abusing you or you are abusing somebody else. There's no particular reason. It's all of the above, right? And that's why I was so hooked on it as a concept and as a problem. It has no bounds of country. It doesn't go, well, you live in that country, this is this level of financial abuse versus that. I'm seeing it more and more and more, and actually, it's really tricky, because what this boils down to, when you're talking specifically about self-sabotage, is your relationship with money. Now, every single, you and I spend a huge amount of time interviewing financial planners, financial advisors, and we hang around with them a lot, right? And one of the things that some of the best ones say, and their approach when dealing with their clients, is they must absolutely help the clients understand their relationship with money. They must. If you are an incredibly equipped financial planner, advisor, agent, broker, whatever you're called in whatever country, your first job must be to help your clients understand their own relationship with money. Because the decisions that they make in their life, the way that they spend, the way that they don't spend, the way that they control using money, the way that they are controlled using money, is all to do with their relationship with money. And that's got to be the number one question. And this is kind of where this whole thing came about. And when I started sort of thinking about my relationship with money, it's like, some things I really value, but some things I will buy because I value me, right? So I will spend endless amounts of money to no bounds on my personal nutrition and my my health, my well-being. I will have personal trainers, I will have vitamins, I will have protein powders, I will have great skin, creams. I will spend as much as I've got. Now, would I have lots of pairs of shoes? No, because I'm not that bothered about shoes. So we've all got to understand, like, what we will spend our money on, and we use it as a control and as a booster for us, and also we use it to think, well, actually, that doesn't really inspire me, so I'm not. But we have to understand our relationship with money. We also need to understand, I think, the people who are so close to us, their understanding and relationship with money. So if you're dating somebody, or you're married to somebody, or you're bringing up children, you've got to understand their relationship with money, how they feel about money. Like, do they feel it's a bad thing? Do they feel it's an empowering thing? Some people are scared of money. Like, I've had family members inherit a huge amount of money. They're petrified of it. I've got older relatives that have got millions of pounds in the bank. They're scared of it. They've got threadbare towels in their bathrooms and, carpet towels. I've got a great auntie, she's 96. You could literally hold one of her bath towels up and there's holes in it. She's scared of money. But it's really important to understand how people associate to and have a relationship with money and what that relationship is. And that's how this all started from, which I know you're going to ask me about. But yeah. It's you have to do that first. More importantly, you have to understand how you as an individual feel about money, what it can and what it won't do for you. Important job number one.
Now I'm wondering about something. How much does your personality impact this? So personality, but also certain tendencies. So if you think about things like narcissism,
yeah.
when you are, God. Like, obviously no narcissist will say that they are, but how much does those kind of things impact also on whether you are likely to, I don't know, use financial abuse to get what you want? You know, are there tendencies between those kind of personality types and that as well?
Absolutely. So money can be used. Money can be used to control. Okay. So if me and you were married and I said to you, I want all of your money to go in our joint bank account, and I will give you back what I feel you're allowed to spend. Now, if I was an absolute narcissist, that's exactly what I would do. You're a big guy. I can't beat the living daylights out of you, but actually I can hook on to some of probably your weaknesses or your easygoingness or your personality. And I am a controller, right? So I can use money, and money exists in every relationship, personally and with somebody else, with children, with grandparents, with those that you care for. It's everywhere. So it's different to sexual abuse, emotional abuse. Like, I can't emotionally abuse you. I'm not close enough to you. Okay. Or I might not be, but there might be a way, even at a distance. If we were business partners, for example, I could use money to control you, control the decisions you make, or how you feel about the business, or what we spend or what we don't spend. Money's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. So ultimately, it's such a gift, but it can also be such a dangerous thing when used in correlation to control. And it's everywhere. It's not prejudiced in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. It can be used in every type of relationship.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, because this is all money related, right? The first thing that we think is, okay, so who can help me with my money problems? It's probably a financial advisor. That would maybe be the first sort of port of call of where we would go. And my question then to you is, our experience, I'm not talking about somebody who's new to the industry or new in the profession and they're just getting started, but somebody who's really experienced, they've got 5, 10, 15 years experience or more. Are they equipped to help somebody who's maybe going through this? And also, where do you start? Maybe let me ask that question first. So where do you start? Do you help the person that's suffering under the abuse, or do you work with a person who is, I don't know, is performing the abuse the right word, the right way to say it?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because if you think about it, sometimes the abused doesn't even know that they're being abused, right? So if I, okay, we're talking about, rather controversial matters, but, if I'm in a relationship and my partner strikes me, okay, and I'm hit by let's say he strikes me, I know, because I'm educated enough as the abused, that is domestic violence. That is physical abuse. If I'm sexually abused and I've said no, and I am then sexually abused, I know that's abuse. I know that's abuse. I'm educated enough. But financial abuse is very, very subtle, okay? Because like all abuse, it can start off very tiny. And we're not educated enough, just generally, to think that financial abuse is a real thing. We just don't know that. So ultimately, I think what we're saying is that there are signs, but I would suggest that most financial planners and advisors, and actually anybody, are just not looking for them. And that's again why this whole campaign started. So if you as you and me as me, just if we took 10 minutes just to think about the people we know in our lives, friends, family, maybe people we work with. I mean, I could rattle 10 names off without even really thinking about it. Where money, when you've heard stories, or they've told you what they've done at weekend, or they tell you what they spend, or where they go on holiday, anything, if you thought about it long and hard enough, you'd be like, that's weird. That's not right. I got chatting to an administrator actually who worked at a financial planning practice, and she was telling me basically that her boyfriend didn't work. He basically slobbed around the house all day. He was writing a book. She paid for everything. She was crying in front of me because her employers wouldn't give her a pay rise. But actually, she was paid the top end of her scale for the job that she was in. And she never even thought for a second that she was possibly being financially abused by a partner. Because he loved her. Why would he abuse? Why would he do that? That's not even a thing. But effectively, he was bringing no money into the family house. She was paying for everything. He was putting continued pressure under her through effectively emotional manipulation and, oh yeah, but I want to finish this book, and, really laying it on. She didn't realize he was. And so I then, because I'm now obviously aware of all of this stuff, I went in with my kind of positioning questions. She was in tears in minutes because she was like, oh my God, I'm so pleased that we've been able to talk about this. Like, this has been really bothering me, but I didn't even know it was a thing. And I was just like, oh my God, girl, we've got to sort this out. Like, this is not right. And we were then having a girl talk. This wasn't a, financial abuse specialist talk. This was a girl talk. As a strong, independent woman, I was like, this is, how do you feel about this? This is not right. Why are you paying for him? Well, because, he's got no confidence and blah, 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 blah. Before I knew it, I found out she was basically bankrolling him and had been for the last 5 years. He'd not lifted a day's finger to do a day's bit of work. Yeah. She was broken, exhausted she was. But it came, we discussed it. But what's the most important thing about this whole financial abuse thing, which is why we should all be on the lookout for it. And I mean, we've got the stats and I can share them, but in a significant number of financial abuse cases, there's domestic abuse. So it might be very difficult for a financial planner or any of us to spot domestic abuse or, where violence and physical violence is involved. But if you uncover domestic abuse, the likelihood is that you will also uncover physical abuse. So it's very interesting, the kind of, it opens up a can of worms, which is why the answer to your question is no. Do any of us have the skills and abilities to deal with it or support? Absolutely not. When was the last time you did a training program on it? But it's to do with money. It's the thing that planners and advisors are not trained in, yet money is being used as the source of control.
See, and
crazy.
And I think you're right. It's absolutely crazy. And I mean, I've seen this like in a few cases recently. That's why I think when I saw the newsletter go out about this being launched, it immediately sort of got my attention. And I don't know. I don't know even what I'm thinking at the moment. It's just...
It's scary, isn't it?
And there are these little subtle sort of indicators that we choose to ignore, when it's being done to us. And we don't really say, well, but is this right? Is this not right? And as you say, are you happy with this,
I had a previous relationship where I was... and I could share my story another time, but I was lying in bed one evening and my partner came in and he said, I've put a bit of art to one side for us. I was like, a bit of what? He's like, I've been into the art gallery in town and I've put a piece of art to one side for us. I was like, right, how much is it? He said, oh, it's only £2,500. And I said, who's going to pay for it? He said, well, I thought you would. Now, if I was any other sort of person, I'd have gone, oh, well, okay, well, if you really want that piece of art, well, I've got the money. Oh, okay. I went, are you joking? Are you for real? Are you for real? I'm not buying a piece of art. But if I was any other type of person, I'd have gone along with it. And there'd be a massive £2,500 piece of art stuck in a living room in a house that I no longer live in, right? Yep. So, you know what I mean? You've got to have your flipping wits about you. It's happening all over the place. Like you say, little signs, little things that you go, of course that's not financial abuse. It flipping is. Spending my money.
Yeah. And
my money.
I mean, for me, that one of the simplest sort of ways to identify this, if someone says, be careful, you're going to need me somewhere in the future, you must think carefully about what you do. If you don't do this, then I'm not going to do that. So it's all those kind of things that you pick up on that very, very quickly. And it's unfortunate that it is that way. So let's get back to the financial advisors. And the thing with, yes, it's money, but as financial advisors, we're trying to look for risks. We're trying to how to invest and manage. And these last few years, I mean, you would know that there's a lot more focus on the human behavior side and the things that we think about that makes us do or don't make us do certain things. And I think this whole financial abuse thing, it's actually not about money. It's more about the behavior. Money is simply the tool that they use. But this is why I believe that financial advisors are not equipped to sort of deal with this, even though it's a money thing. It's not really a money thing. It's actually much more than that. So is that why you created this? Well, if I say you, I mean your business, and you worked with someone to do that.
So if you think about it, and again, I'm being very general, and this is not to pick out any one person, but I'm being very general. The majority of the sector in kind of active advisors are aging males. Okay, now there's a lot of work being done globally to kind of sort that out. Now, most of the financial advisors I know and I work with are men. Okay, number one. The second thing is those financial advisors themselves often control the money in their household because they're a financial advisor. Some of them even go on to be on school committees and are the financial guy on the school committees that they manage the school's finances, right? So because of the nature of what they do. So, and again, I'm generalizing to sort of make the point. So when you've got a financial advisor who's a man sitting in front of male clients, the female potentially is missing from the conversation, or is almost presented as, well, she doesn't know a lot about the money, I'm sorting it. The male financial advisors just do not pick it up, because that's exactly how a lot of them are in their relationships at home. So they think it's normal. Okay. And in the main, they're not abusing their partners, but it's almost a given. Now, if I was sitting in front of a guy that said to me, a male client that said to me, I don't know, she doesn't have an opinion, I'd be like, well, yeah, she might have an opinion. And I would almost turn into this alpha female, like trying to fight for the females kind of thing. I know I would. So I think, generally, are we equipped? We're actually not, no. So planners are not, you're quite right, there's definitely a move forward, but we're not listening to the words enough. Like, planners are not listening to the words that are said, the words that are not said, the tone of certain sentences constructed by the potential abuser or the abused. Like if the abused, it says things like, maybe it's the wife or the husband or the grandparents or whatever, says, I don't make decisions about things like that, or I'm not really involved in that. Well, why aren't you? Well, it's your money too. Like, this money is being spent on you by somebody else. Things like power of attorneys. It's absolutely petrifying. And there are some very high profile cases of where financial abuse has not just been a husband-wife situation. There's things like this famous people. One of the most obvious is, Tina Turner. Well, Tina Turner was physically abused, sexually abused, financially abused, mentally abused. I mean, she had the full packet, right? That poor woman. But it's in all types of relationships. It happens. So, planners are perfectly placed, advisors are perfectly placed to just spot some of the very subtle signs and then approach, when they feel comfortable with the right knowledge and experience, approach the conversations with both parties as they choose to feel it's appropriate. Now, one of the things that's really important is financial abuse in some countries is absolutely illegal. You go to prison for it. In other countries, it's not even a thing at all. So you've got to understand kind of location-wise what your legal system is in your appropriate country. And that's where this whole thing started from. So basically what happened was it kind of goes back to the beginning, but these points are relevant, right? So I met a lady called Amanda Cassar. Amanda is one of the most wonderful financial advisors, larger than life personality, just morally and ethically bang on point, right? She lives on the Gold Coast in Australia, and I met her at a $1 Million Roundtable meeting several years ago. And as we got to become friends and we got to know each other a little bit more, she said to me, "Can I interview you for my book?" And I said, oh my God, yeah, that'd be amazing. I didn't even know what the book was about. I just said, yeah. I was like, yeah, of course you can. Be amazing. Like, what's your book about? And she said, well, I'm interviewing people about their relationship with money. And I was like, oh my God, yeah. I said, I don't know what I'm going to talk about really, because I didn't think I had a relationship with money at the time. But she interviewed me. But when she'd interviewed me and it went to print, I obviously read the book. Financial Secrets Revealed was this book. She'd interviewed like 25 different people all over the world. And one of the ladies she interviewed was a lady called Tanya Target. Tanya was an investigative journalist, super successful, super wealthy, power woman, strong. And literally she got into a bad relationship where it got so bad, she literally fled this guy. She had to literally escape this guy. And the only way that she could survive was she got to the point where she was siphoning off money from the weekly shop to buy food cards for her and her daughter that were hidden at a friend's house, that when she eventually left him, she could feed her daughter and herself. Now, this daughter at this time was 8 years old, which was the same age as my Ruby. And I just thought, you have got to be joking. And I'm reading this story in this book, sobbing, because all I could see was me and my little girl, right, having to do that. And I was hooked, absolutely hook, line and sinker. And I said to Amanda, you've got to tell me more and more and more and more. And she literally, story after story after story, told me of friends she knew, clients that she dealt with who had effectively, men and women, who had been financially abused. And I was like, we've got to do something about this. I can't sit on this and not do it. So she's now coined by me the global ambassador on financial abuse. And she worked with me and my team to create the financial abuse specialist certification for financial planners, lawyers, accountants, consultants, whoever wanted to understand this area and to be certified. So that ultimately, through a display in the certification mark, there's like a beacon. People who are victims of financial abuse or who think they know somebody who is being financially abused. Our vision, mine and Amanda's, is that there's these signs, these marks on people's business cards and letterheads and websites, and that says, I'm a specialist in financial abuse. My door is open. My door is open. And those that sign up, are also pledging to maybe not earn any money from this advice and this support, because it's not about the money. It is about the money, but it's not about the money. Yeah. It's almost like providing a lifeline. And I've said several times, we talk about planners changing lives. How about let's save some lives? Because this just might literally save somebody's life. Literally. And even when I think about it and talk about it, I've got goosebumps on my arms. Like, this is not investment planning and pension planning. This could be life-saving for somebody. It could have saved Tanya's life, that somebody intercepted and got her out of that relationship and said, I'll hide your food cards for you. I mean, what a thing. Sure. Incredible. I was in bits. Yeah. In bits.
So let's talk a little bit about this certification. What does it mean to be a financial abuse specialist certified? Okay, what does it mean? What does it entail? How do I get certified? Let's talk about all of that.
So it's been designed specifically so that anybody can do it. And when I mean anybody, I did it. Now, I'm not an advisor. I'm a business coach, a bit of a life coach. I have deep, meaningful conversations. But I wanted to be able to be the one that did it. You could do it. My friend Alex could do it. The lawyer down the road could do it. The financial advisor, the planner, management consultants, life coaches. I wanted it to be that anybody could do it. So whilst we use the word advisor in the process, in the program, that applies to anybody in an advisory position. Yeah. That could be me talking to one of my girlfriends. I'm advising my girlfriend, right? So it's open to everybody of any age, anywhere globally. We've got resources in the program about what goes on in different countries, where it's illegal, where it's not. There's tons of stuff. So effectively, what we've created is a very versatile, very flexible learning program that is held on a learning platform. So what we do is on our website, which is standardsinternational.co.uk/financial abuse specialist, you can go on there and you can apply. And what we want to just make sure is, and this is really important, that the person that's applying to do it is themselves mentally, it's really flipping important, stable to take this on. Okay. So because if I'm being financially abused and I'm learning about being financially abused or what to do, it could tip me over the flipping edge. It could send me into just the stupor of the non-returnables, right? So we want to make sure that the person is of sound mind currently to take this on. And the learning is very emotional. Like when I did it, which we'll talk about, I was in absolute bits. And I would consider myself emotionally strong, right? I was in absolute bits. So ultimately, it's for anybody that's in an advisory capacity or position. We ask, just stick an application over. We just want to make sure that you're understanding what you're about to do. On the basis that you are happy to proceed and we're happy for you to proceed, then we enroll you onto our learning platform. You're given 12 weeks to go through the learning modules. It's a mixture between videos, podcasts, articles that you need to read, research that's all held on the portal. And then finally there's a submission of your own processes, your own thoughts, your own answers to some of the questions that we pose to you. We want to make sure that at the end of that process, you have understood the situation. You are equipped with the knowledge of what to do about it, what to spot, where to look when you're in these situations, and then also what to do about it should you identify a case of financial abuse or you suspect a case of financial abuse. So the final assessment is for you to upload a workbook, which is a number of questions and answers and case studies. You'll upload some documents. And one of the things that we are absolutely delighted with, and the ones that have been submitted so far are just off the scale. It's a video. We want the candidates to upload a video, and we give them a number of pointers on, how do you now feel about this? What cases do you think you may uncover? What's your next step? What's been your biggest kind of light bulb moments from doing the program? And we want to see the color of the eyeballs. We want to see that integrity, that moral standing. If we got submitted a video and it's like, yeah, well, I think it's a thing, and I think I can use it to make some money, and I think it's a good way in from a marketing perspective, we'd be like, not a chance in this world are we going to allow you to put that logo on your business cards, because the integrity of what this is about is absolutely paramount. When that logo goes on a business card, I want a victim or somebody that knows a victim to know that we are going to somebody that is going to take care of us. And the original working name title for the standard, the certification, was In Safe Hands. That's what we were going to call it. Wow. But there's already things that are using that logo with the hands and the heart inside, but that's what it was going to be called, In Safe Hands, because that's exactly what we want that person, because they've gone through enough. Yeah. Even if they don't realize what it is, they'll probably have gone through enough already.
Yeah. And would there be any requirements in order to maintain your certification? What happens? So you get it, you obtain it, like most other certifications, there's CPD and there's continued sort of things that you need to do. Will it be the same?
It will. And so how it's going to work is, so use me as an example. So I've done year one. My documentation is currently being viewed independently within my team, but in a different team in Standards International. All my evidence has gone in, my case studies, my workbook assessment. Now, once I get that mark, I'm now equipped at level one, if you like an entry level. I've established my skills and expertise in being a financial abuse specialist. Now, the likelihood is that in order for me to maintain that financial abuse specialism, I need to effectively go and build my file, if you like. I need to build some case studies of my own. I need to go and, not practice, but, I need to get out there and utilize my set of skills, utilize those questions that I've learned I should be asking for those where I suspect. So in 1 year's time from the date I become certified, I will undergo another assessment where I will upload to the system again. There'll be some CPD and questions and refresher information, and I will upload my evidence to prove that, one, I know what I'm doing, two, I've done what I wanted to do and I've said I'm going to do, and my experiences to almost prove that I've embedded and I've implemented my knowledge. And that, again, will be independently assessed by, again, a team within Standards International. And then every 2 years thereafter, we will go through that same process. There will be some CPD learning on the portal. There will be some submissions that need to be sent through. And it's all because ultimately, I mean, to be fair, it's something that we toy with all the time as a certification body, because there's a part of me personally that's like, I need to keep checking that if you keep putting that logo on your business cards, that we know you know what you're doing. Because you can't be banding this logo around indefinitely without you uploading something, CPD learning or points or something. We've got to know that you know what you're doing, because people may come to you that are in extremely dangerous situations, and you might not have done a single bit of CPD or been checked in the last 5 years. And actually you don't know what you're doing because you're way out of touch. The integrity and almost me putting my arms around that mark is so important. And I got to undergo that assessment too. I want to be equipped with the knowledge to be able to help, and the proof that I can help.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's why we keep the cost as low as possible, because we want people to do this. Like it's minimal costs, really.
Yeah. And I mean, talking about this is, do you think that this is only an add-on to your existing things, or do you, like, not yours, but if I do the certification, it's just an add-on to what I do? Or is this also something that where people feel that they want to help people who's in this position, that they can make a full-time career out of it, or that this will become a full-time profession, down the line?
Who knows? I mean, it's a little bit like, where you get financial planners or people that specialize in divorce mediation, for example. Or, we have a client, I have a client who's a financial advisor, and he specializes in cases where there's been a huge payout because of medical negligence. So he deals with specifically a very, very tiny niche of the market. So I think, when you become a beacon, and ultimately you become the expert in the country or the area in financial abuse, there is an opportunity to specialize in it as a thing. So let's imagine, I'm a business coach, right? Let's imagine I don't do financial services, but I'm a business coach, and I am a business coach that specializes in financial abuse. It is a fact that I will become a beacon, and people will hunt me out where their specific need is in, where finances, the financial management of a business, of the executives, where finance is a thing, where it's being used in a detrimental way or an abusive way. So I think there's time. I think it's about educating. I think it's about educating the market. And I think at the moment, I think lawyers could do this. Accountants are perfectly placed. Financial advisors, planners. I think life coaches. This is absolutely a beautiful addition to their suite of skills. Why would somebody go and do NLP training and hypnosis and not this? I don't understand. Like, why would you not? This is probably the most important thing to have as a string to your bow, because you're going to talk about money. Money's in everybody's life, even if it's, self-sabotage, or, you're being abused, or you may uncover that you are sitting in front of an abuser.
Yeah.
And they don't even realize what they're doing.
Yes. Does that happen? Just before I get to my next question, does that happen where somebody is abusing, but they don't even realize that they're doing it? Is that common? Is that common, or is this?
Well, yeah. I mean, think about it. If you go back a generation, my dad gave my mum £100 a week to feed the family, clothe the children. She didn't have any more. He paid all the bills, paid for all the holidays. He decided where we were going on holiday. He would decide what interiors we were having in the house. I mean, my dad's an incredible man. And I wouldn't, even in my book, when I was interviewed by Amanda, my dad is my biggest inspiration. But he used money as a form of control. Now, if he tipped to the narcissist scale, that would be bad. But he used money as a form of control over my mum. They were married at 19. God, he'd be devastated even if he listened to this and thought that I even thought that. But it's it's happening in children I know a guy who is controlling his children through the amount he gives them in an allowance. He'll take money from them if they're bad or they're naughty or they don't do their chores. Or now, that's just bringing up kids, isn't it? Well, I don't know, because I don't know underneath what's going on, or how the children feel about how dad's using money to control them, or who knows. But it's got to be a conversation that's worth having. And I think it's I just think it's everywhere in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And even my relationship with my daughter, and even just doing this course, I phrase my words different. I don't say, I probably would have, well, I'm going to take £1 off your Go Henry card if you don't be good, Well, how awful. Well, how about using positive affirmation with regards to money? I mean, flipping hell, Michelle. I should know better, but we're all doing it.
Yeah. Michelle, so tell me, what does it cost to do this, and where do I register or enroll in this? Where can we find information, more information, 1, and 2, if you want to apply, and what is it going to cost to do this?
Fabulous. So the initial certification process, including all of the training, is £695 UK, and obviously depending on which country you're in, it's the currency conversion. Obviously in the UK we have to charge VAT, so VAT is on top of that. And then on an ongoing basis, so year 1, it's £375, but that gives you a continued access to the learning platform where there's more materials, webinars, toolkit documents being put up there all of the time. And then obviously on an ongoing basis, it's then every 2 years. And that's it. I mean, this is not going to make us a millionaire. This is not going to make us tons of money as a business. However, we know that we're going to pack way more value into that ongoing process than we're probably going to get paid for it. But we don't care. It's just going to be packed full of stuff. Yeah. So the information to apply is on our Standards International website under certification by selecting the financial abuse specialism, and you'll see some information and some downloadable bits and pieces on there. There's just so much. It's just an incredible thing. And I almost want to stand in the street and literally shout from the rooftops, if you're being financially abused or money's involved in a bad relationship, God, it's just off the scale. Yeah. It affects everybody.
Yeah.
So everybody needs to have the skills, and that's why I wanted to do it myself.
So I hope through this podcast we can help you spread the word and get people to learn more about this. It's definitely something that I want to do. So it's on my list. I think in my email a couple of months back when I said to you, this is very interesting, I'd like to do this. So I will definitely also be looking at this. I just checked the price in our local currency, and it's about the 10th of the price, I must say, than it is for other certifications. I'm not talking about the CFPs and the things, but there are other certifications that advisors are tackling and taking on that are 10 times this price.
Yeah.
And it takes you a year to complete, and you're also very valuable, all of that. So you're quite right. This is very well priced, and this is about, I mean, as you said earlier, this can and will change lives. Literally. Yeah. So this isn't like, I invested $100 for you and it turned into 1,000 and I changed your life. It's not that kind of thing. This is real life. So is there anything else you would like to add, Michelle? I think I've done everything that I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, I think all I would say is, if this starts with an incredibly honest conversation with us all, to look at our own behaviors, look at our friends, look at those that are the closest to us. And one of the positioning, one of the things that's key in the program is that, we give you the abilities and the confidence to, should you spot a tiny sign, there's 3, and I'll share it because it's absolutely vital. If you think somebody is being financially abused, the way to approach it is you would say, I feel. So if I said to you, it's I feel the thing, when the thing, because. So for example, let's imagine me and you were at a dinner party and your wife was speaking really detrimental about you and, just really not very nice. But what I would say to you is, so I feel really sad when your wife dismisses what you're saying, because I'm sure you've got really good opinions about money and how to manage your finances. How and then I would say, and how do you feel about that? And then I would be quiet.
Yes.
Well, and that would be it. And then, that's not going to be an easy conversation to have. But the beauty of the program and the course is that I now know what to do with whatever comes out of your mouth next. Whether it's, actually, I don't like it, or I don't really know what to do about it, or she's always done that. Anything literally that comes out of your mouth, I have a resource in my kit bag, because I've done that course and I have access to that learning platform with exactly how to help you going forward. And it's incredibly powerful. And these are dinner party conversations. This is not me being your financial advisor sitting with you across my office table or on a Zoom call. This is, we're at dinner or we're in the coffee shop and we're having girl talk because we've just dropped the children off at school. It's life.
Yeah.
It's just real craziness. So yeah, it's been and anybody that has any questions or anything, fire them over. I want to know what's going on out there. And what I will say is, and this is the power of this community that we are such lovingly part of, is, we recognize that there are a huge amount of men being financially abused by other people, whether it be their wives, their partners, their parents, whatever. And I want to interview those people. We've got lots of women that are coming forward saying, yeah, I was, I was an abuser, or I don't know why it's a real heavy women focus, but we know that there's males out there that are victim of or have abused. And, we're happy to hide identities and mask voices, but those stories are vital, because it's a little bit like, it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to be a victim of financial abuse, and it's really important to speak out about it so that we can raise awareness, so that we educate other males, particularly, that it's okay that this is happening if we can help. It's got to be dealt with. It's all part of the raising awareness, because it's not okay. Yeah. It needs to be dealt with. So, and there's huge amounts of help and support and toolkit documents and just resources available. There's an incredible amount of stuff out there.
Awesome stuff.
That's it.
Michelle, thank you so much. I'm going to put all the details down below in the show notes, so you can just click on it and get direct access to everything that we spoke about. Can I share your email address there as well?
Absolutely.
Cool. We'll do that. I also want to encourage you to go check out the episode that I had with Michelle on Virtual Coffee with Francois. So go see what we spoke about there, because that was a completely different conversation. Michelle, you're one amazing woman. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing all of this with me. And I want to congratulate you on, I think this is a phenomenal program. There's so many programs seeing the light. This is something that makes a real difference. So just from my side, and I haven't met Amanda yet, so maybe you can introduce us. But also to her for what she's doing and all of her input into this program. Well done to both of you and your team, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thank you for listening to PROpulsion. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes or your favorite podcasting platform. This will help us tremendously. For more about PROpulsion and other valuable information, please visit our website at propulsion.co.za.